back to the Hangin with Web Show. I'm GW Comature. Thank you right there, you, for logging on, for tuning in, for clicking a link, however you got over here into the really seedy part of town.
Yeah.
We're glad you did. We're here at Indie Bookfest 2019, hanging out with authors all weekend long. We're hanging out right now with Kevin. All right, really? Kevin Tumlinson.
You were so close, but
almost,
so very far away.
I was so close, except for all the things I got wrong. Kevin Tumlinson.
I get it wrong myself.
Author of The Spanish Papers.
Yes. Yeah, that's the latest.
The only thing I know about The Spanish Papers, they were all of the things that I had to hide the F's on from
yes,
my mom.
right. That's exactly
papers.
what the novel is about, is hiding your homework from your folks.
Hiding your homework. No. That's right. So tell us Spanish Papers.
Spanish Papers. So it's part of I have an ongoing archaeological thriller series, sort of an Indiana Jones-esque series.
Nice.
And this is part of that series. This is the latest. This is it's a thriller. It features a character named Dan Kotler. He is an anthropologist who happens to work with the FBI. And these events surrounding this are kind of a culmination of a little through story I've had going through several novels. So,
okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun.
There's Spanish, there's papers, there's all kinds of fun.
What drew you into that kind of storytelling? Sort of anthropological
that
archaeology?
stuff has always been fascinating. I grew up watching Indiana Jones.
That stuff's fascinating to everybody, by the way.
That's right.
That stuff made Harrison Ford famous.
That's what drew me to it, was all the money that I could make from those people. No,
that's right.
I just really enjoy I love history. I have a background in all sorts of things, really. But I mean, I did some documentary television work and film work. I used to love digging in on history. I've always been a writer. And it just sort of, it was one of those things where when it came around to the idea of me writing thrillers, I've sort of dared into writing thrillers. There's a story.
Thank you. Whoever you are, thank you.
And I just decided that was what I wanted to pursue. I like the idea of this sort of quirky history, unknown history, that I could work into a sort of, modern day thriller.
I think one of the most thrilling things in the modern age today is the sense of discovery and wonder. And it's always fun to look backwards and discover things you didn't know.
Right.
Hey, we went 30,000 years and didn't know that, but now we do.
Yeah, exactly right.
It's awesome.
Yeah, there are a lot of, I'm not an anthropologist, but I'm very interested in that as a field of study because it is a look at humanity.
My younger adult son is an anthropologist.
Oh, okay, well
yes.
there you go. He's probably much better at this than I am. Actually.
He's much better at everything than I am, so that's not a surprise.
I just like the idea. So I like anthropology and psychology. I like all the things that are oriented towards how humans act as humans, like how what makes us human. That was one of the things that appealed to me about this, was looking back. It's like, what would a culture 30,000 years ago have to say about our culture today? How does it relate? What lessons can we learn? So those are sort of the points that I explore.
That's fantastic though, because it speaks to the heart of what you're doing as a storyteller.
Right.
Because that's what we do.
Yeah, I'm really just telling everyone else's stories, honestly. So.
That's it. As storytellers, what we do is look at the human being and say, what's true?
Right.
What's always true? What's been true for 35,000, a million years about the human being?
And it turns out we have a lot more in common than we might have thought.
Really
those
do.
Cultures 2,000, 10,000 years ago, 100, maybe. We have upper limits on what we think culture, the age of culture, but I'm also exploring those ideas, like where are the differences? What can we learn from those cultures? And what secrets might we uncover? And how do they impact the world today?
That's fantastic, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Really awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
How many books now is this?
So in this series, there are 9 books right now, and 2 novellas and short stories that tie in. One of which is available for sale, one of which is available for free on my website.
We're going to make sure we drop the link down below so you can get started with that free book and then pop the link and go on over and get the one that's for sale. Because, it's what we do.
I would appreciate buying the books.
Please buy the books.
That would make me happy.
What's really fun for authors is when we actually get to eat.
Yes. Eat, pay rent.
Thursdays at 3. That's all we get. But hey, we'll take more if you can do it.
Right.
All right. So In addition, we were talking off camera earlier.
Yeah.
You do some stuff on the web too. You're just creative guy.
I am all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah.
So among other things, so I have a podcast.
Okay.
Called the Wordslinger Podcast.
The Wordslinger.
Yeah, that's aimed
like
at
that.
the indie authors out there. So it's it's me walking people through what I did,
That's
and how I got to where I am.
That's
I interview authors. I talk to a lot of celebrity authors. There's a lot of folks.
There's so much to glean from every single
Right.
person that you meet
Right.
at one of these conferences.
Right.
Someone had a different journey than yours, ever so slightly.
Yeah.
Sometimes to great success.
Yes, exactly.
And sometimes we learn more from our great failures.
Right.
And so,
I probably learned the most from my failures because I have so many of them.
see, that's my thought. I'm thinking, hey, if I didn't learn from my failures, I wouldn't know anything.
Right.
So, wow. So now that you said this series and the Spanish Papers series
Right.
that you have more books out there.
Right. I started life as a sci-fi and fantasy writer.
Awesome.
So I have a couple of trilogies and a lot of standalone books. I got
What kind of science fiction do you like to write?
So it's hard to quantify the kind of science fiction I like because it's not. There's no like subcategory for this stuff. I didn't do like space opera or anything like that. I was always very character driven.
Okay.
So there's my primary series has a couple of aliens, but it's mostly about human beings sort of out of their element, trying to figure out how to survive.
Which is like anytime we do anything new.
Right. Yeah.
That's where we end up.
We're gonna go explore the universe, and half of us will die now. So that's
As one does. Yeah. So
Right.
okay. What are the biggest what writers have inspired you along the way?
My first author inspiration came from Orson Scott Card, who was the author of Ender's Game.
Yeah, you can't do
If you're going to start somewhere, start with that guy.
Yeah.
I know he's a little controversial these days, but all of his stuff. I read everything he wrote. I imitated his voice in my first, the first things that I wrote, and when I read Ender's Game for the first time, and I was like in 9th grade. I'd been reading my whole life, but that book just popped and told me human beings can do this. Right, yeah. That was the one that flipped the switch.
Awesome.
And from there, it's been, I read a lot of thrillers now because that's my genre, but I read very widely, so.
The writers are readers.
Yes.
You almost have to be.
Yeah, it's a
You're
requirement.
looking for the next inspiration, the next story that really speaks to you.
Exactly.
You're looking for someone always looking for somebody who does it better than you, because those
yeah,
are the ones
constantly.
we learn from.
And it's not hard for me to find. There are
Me neither.
a lot of them out there.
Yeah. Dr. Seuss. I'm just saying.
Oh man,
okay,
we are starting way back.
It's way better sold than either one of us.
Yes,
so,
well,
we gotta
yeah,
take that.
exactly.
Ever thought about alien archeological crossover? Oh, that's good. I like this sci-fi archaeology crossover. Ever give any thought to that?
After Indiana Jones and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, I figure I
It's
can't
all
do
open
any
now.
worse.
Amen to that, brother.
So
Steven,
yeah,
we love you, man. I'm just telling you.
I would consider it. The series
the
I'm on
problem
now,
with that story is it needed more story.
it needed more story. It
was
needed
all-
more story
there
and
was-
fewer aliens.
There was so much packed into that, and
Right.
I you know what, blending those two universes doesn't bother me. It doesn't scare me. It's
No.
good, it's good. It's a good universe to blend, and if anybody can do it, you would think Steven Spielberg
Right,
is the
right.
guy. But that's a bigger tale
Yeah.
to take.
That was a
this
lot to cram
really-
into a movie that people had been waiting a long time for. So there was a lot
You're trying to do
a lot on the
passing
line.
You're passing the torch, and you're
Yeah.
trying to take us on an indie adventure, and
Right.
then you're adding the alien element to it, which is, there's always been a mystical or magical element. So
Right,
you're,
right.
You're going to do that with an alien. Too many plates spinning at one time.
Yeah, they went from, I don't want this to be a whole review of that
No,
movie,
no,
but,
no, but
they
still,
went
yeah.
from a series of films where there was a supernatural element that was sort of unconfirmed, right, and ambiguous, to a confirmed on-screen supernatural presence, right, paranormal activity. And I think it lost a lot of mystery. He showed us the shark. After years of telling us,
Never
don't
show
show
it.
the
That's
shark,
right, that's right.
he showed us the shark, and suddenly it wasn't as interesting a film or story.
Which speaks to that he knew what he was doing the whole time.
Yeah.
That he knew it when he said don't show him.
Right.
He
Which
knew.
he discovered by accident anyway.
Yes.
But
The lack of money.
I mean, to get to the
lack of-
question,
he discovered it with a lack of cash.
right?
It's hard to build him.
I would totally do a crossover. The series I write now, I think, is a little too grounded for that, but I fully intend to write more books, more series. So there is
Look,
definitely an element of that.
When you get to like 9, you can committedly say you fully intend to keep going. Because,
Yeah, I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
I'm not in any danger of stopping.
So what's your podcast about?
The podcast is called the Wordslinger Podcast. So I, in addition to being an author, I do some marketing work with Draft to Digital, which helps authors
Fantastic, by the
publish.
way. Love those guys.
I also love those guys. And Wordslinger Podcast kind of ties in with that community. It's my labor of love and giving back and that sort of thing. I bring in guests, and I also do some what I call solo slinger episodes where it's just me, fireside chat kind of thing.
Nice.
But yeah, it's aimed at helping the will-be author, as I call them,
That's fantastic.
get into
Guys,
the
if you're
business.
out there and you're interested in the creative arts, particularly in the writing career, do your diligence.
Yeah.
Shop. Go around. Look at things, okay? The world isn't like it was 25 years ago.
No, it's not like it was 5 years ago.
Yeah. So we love Draft to Digital. I started using Draft to Digital years ago.
Oh, fantastic.
For extended distribution.
Yeah.
Because back in those days, CreateSpace was locked into Amazon,
Right.
and everybody else was, and you were like, so where how do I get everywhere else?
Right, yeah,
And
that's
so
what we're there for.
We found Draft to Digital, and I just was like, wow, it
that's
became a
great.
regular part of the platform.
Yeah.
And I really do love it. Look out there, guys. If you're a creative writer, find what's the best fit for you. That's going to get you where you need to go. So. She's going to hold up that card because that's the card that says that you and I have been chatting too long, and I'm supposed to say thank you to those people for making that possible. So we're going to say thank you to our great friend Rick Shea over at Famous Faces and Funnies. His whole team over there, great. Jake Estrada over at Space Coast Comics, Chuck Fresh at Indie Originals, Josh Bauer at J Bauer Art for the amazing artwork that's on our set.
That is awesome.
Our great friends at the Cogler Emporium. Of course, our wonderful friends at the Foxwood Wine Company, because these chairs rock.
It's
Much
smooth.
better than like the folding chairs I used to have.
It's like sitting on a pampered sheep.
Yeah, and if you had a glass of wine to go with it,
If I had a cigar,
bam.
some brandy.
See? Done. Our great friends over at Hearts Helping Others of Central Florida, thank you to Bea and her crew, and our friends at Krypton Radio, thank you for tuning in and logging on. Make sure you come back over and over again to see who we're hanging with next. Awesome.